"Sir, why doesn't my mom buy anything for herself?" The girl asked it quietly, like a secret she wasn't sure she was allowed to say out loud. The city was wrapped in winter. Snow pressed against the windows. Christmas lights shimmered across the street. Inside the mall cafe, warmth lived in small details. Steam curling from cups, soft music, muted laughter. People carried shiny bags, perfume, scarves, boxes wrapped with ribbons. And at one of the corner tables sat a woman and a girl. The woman's coat was old but clean, beige, slightly frayed at the cuffs. The buttons didn't match. She held her purse close, like someone who learned long ago not to lose things she can't replace. Her daughter sat beside her, legs dangling above the floor, sneakers barely brushing the chair. Big brown eyes, careful, quiet. Their names were Anna, the mother, Lena, the daughter. On the table between them lay a receipt and an almost empty tray. One muffin, cut in half. One cup of hot chocolate. Two straws. Everything else was gone. Not because they had finished, because that was all they ordered. Anna pushed one half of the muffin toward her daughter. "Eat, sweetheart." Lena frowned a little. "You're not eating?" Anna smiled the way people smile when they don't want to explain the truth. "I'm not hungry." She said it softly. Too softly. The girl knew the tone. It was the same tone as, "We'll be fine. We don't need that. Maybe next month." She took a bite anyway, chewing slowly as if stretching time. Across the cafe, seated alone with a notebook and black coffee, was a man in a dark winter coat. He wasn't loud. He didn't draw attention, but the waiters looked at him differently. Managers greeted him by name. Security nodded. His name was Daniel Carrington, a millionaire, not the movie kind, not the flashy kind, the quiet kind. Investments, commercial real estate, businesses across the city. He wasn't there to be noticed. He came to read reports, sign documents, and disappear again. But today his eyes kept drifting, not to the crowd, not to the decorations, to them. To the mother carefully cutting a muffin into smaller pieces like she'd done it many times before. To the child pretending not to notice. To the two straws in one cup. He turned a page in his notebook and didn't read a single word on it. A little earlier, in the clothing store next door, something had happened. Anna had stood in front of a mirror, wearing a winter coat. Not expensive, not designer. Just warm, dark wool, simple cut, fit her perfectly. She buttoned it. Her shoulders softened. For a rare moment, she looked like someone who wasn't constantly calculating, planning, sacrificing. The store clerk smiled. "It really suits you." Lena spun slowly, smiling wide. "You look beautiful, Mom." But when Anna saw the price on the tag, her fingers froze. A pause, then a breath, then that same small practiced smile. She carefully unbuttoned the coat, handed it back, and said, "We're just looking. Thank you." Instead, she took her daughter to the kids section. There she picked out boots. Warm, waterproof, lined with faux fur. More expensive than she had planned. But Lena's shoes had holes. Anna paid, not hesitating, not complaining, just quiet. Later, outside the store, Lena noticed something. Her mother's hands were red from cold. No gloves. "Mom, don't you want new ones?" Anna tucked her hands into her sleeves and laughed softly. "I'm okay. Gloves are for people who forget their pockets." It sounded like a joke. It wasn't. Back in the cafe, Lena watched families bringing trays full of pastries and sandwiches. She watched kids push half-eaten cakes away. She looked at her mother's empty side of the tray again, then at the man in the gray coat nearby, who had food he barely touched. Her chest tightened. The question formed slowly, like frost growing along glass. She swallowed. "Sir." Her voice was almost a whisper. Daniel turned, surprised. Huge eyes, fear and courage living in the same expression. "Yes," he said gently. She hesitated. "Sir, why doesn't my mom buy anything for herself?" Anna froze. Her hand tightened around the paper cup. Her lips parted. "Lena," she said softly, embarrassed, "that's not." But the girl continued, because it had lived inside her too long. "She buys me shoes, and coats, and food, and notebooks, but she never buys anything she likes." Her voice trembled. "Not dresses, not perfume, not new coats, not even coffee. She says she's fine, but she isn't." She looked at Daniel with a seriousness that didn't belong to a child. "Is that what being a grown-up means? Never buying anything for yourself?" Silence grew, the kind that feels heavy, the kind that presses on hearts. Anna lowered her gaze. Shame washed her cheeks with color. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "She talks too much sometimes." Daniel shook his head. "No," he said softly. "She asks something people forget to ask." He looked at Anna, not with pity, with understanding, because he'd seen this kind of strength before. Women who built worlds quietly, mothers who fed everyone else first, people who chose responsibility over desire. He had grown up with one. His own mother had done it. He took a breath. "May I ask you something?" he said to Anna, gently, carefully. She nodded. "What?" Not accusing, not interrogating, just honest. Anna stared at the half muffin. Her voice came out like something fragile finally breaking free. "Because when you're a mother," she said, "your wants become last. And sometimes they disappear completely." Lena blinked, fighting tears. Daniel didn't interrupt. Anna continued. "When I look at something beautiful and think, maybe just once," she smiled sadly. "Another thought comes right after. She needs boots. She's growing. School trip is coming. Winter is long." She shrugged. "So the coat stays in the store. And that's okay, because her future matters more than my comfort." The girl looked at her mother like she'd never seen her before. Not as someone poor, not as someone tired, as someone heroic, but also human. Daniel leaned back in his seat. He remembered dinners where his mother would say, "I already ate," but she hadn't. He remembered birthdays where she claimed she didn't like presents because there was no money for her. He remembered a life built from sacrifice. People in the cafe laughed. Silverware clinked. Outside, snow fell softly. Inside him, something shifted. Not charity, not superiority, respect. "Sometimes," he said carefully, "people like your mom don't buy things, not because they don't want them, but because they carry everyone else first." Lena whispered, "But who carries them?" The question landed like a stone in still water. Anna closed her eyes. Daniel looked at the girl, then at her mother. And for the first time in a very long time, he didn't think like a businessman. He thought like a son. He thought like a human. He folded his notebook slowly, because this moment was no longer something you rush past. It was something you stay for. And that was only the beginning. The question didn't vanish. It lingered. Not in the air, in the people, at the nearby tables. Conversation slowed. Some pretended not to hear, but their eyes shifted. as if they recognized something too familiar. Daniel rested his elbows lightly on the table, not invading, not crowding. "Do you mind," he asked gently, "if I sit with you for a moment?" Anna hesitated. Her instinct was to refuse, to stay small, invisible, unnoticed. But Lena nodded quickly. "Please." So he moved closer, slowly, respectfully, like someone entering a fragile room. He didn't look like a savior. He didn't posture. He simply listened. That alone made everything different. Anna tried to laugh it off. "It's fine. Kids ask strange things sometimes." But Lena spoke again. "It's not strange." Her fingers fidgeted with a paper cup. "It happens every time." Her voice trembled. "You say you're not hungry when I know you are. You say you'll buy something later, and later never comes. You walk past perfume and smile like you're pretending to be full." She looked at the floor. "And when I ask you what you want, you say nothing." Anna's throat tightened. "I don't want you to worry, but I already do." Those words landed differently. Children see things adults think they hide. Daniel leaned back slightly, allowing the weight of the moment to breathe. "When was the last time you bought something just for you?" he asked softly. Anna thought. Not for rent, not for bills, not groceries, not shoes for a child. For herself. Her voice turned small. "I don't remember." She wasn't ashamed of sacrifice. She was ashamed of being noticed. The cafe lights reflected in the glass, blending snowflakes with gold. "Do you work nearby?" Daniel asked. She nodded. "Cleaning. Offices. Restrooms. After hours. Holidays. Whatever shifts no one wants." He didn't flinch. He respected it. And before, she hesitated. "I used to study accounting. I wanted to work in finance." Her lips curved with something between humor and sorrow. But life changed. And when life changes, dreams adjust faster than people think. Lena added quietly, "Mom says dreams can wait." Daniel's jaw tightened slightly, because he had heard something similar once. "Not now. Later. After things stabilize." Later never comes for people who never put themselves first. A waitress approached. "Would anyone like something else?" Anna shook her head quickly. "We're fine." Lena glanced at Daniel, then at the empty tray, then at her mother's tired hands. He could have ordered the whole menu, easily. Instead, he paused. "Could I have one more hot chocolate?" he said. "And a muffin." He looked at Anna. "For you." She opened her mouth. Reflex. To refuse. To decline. To shrink. "I'm not hungry," he finished softly. "I know." They held each other's gaze. Something unspoken passed between them. Not charity. Not guilt. Permission. She exhaled slowly. "Okay, just one word." But inside, it sounded like, "Maybe I'm allowed." They sat quietly while they waited. No ruse, no pressure. Daniel turned to Lena. "Do you ever wish your mom would treat herself?" Lena didn't hesitate. "Yes." "What would you choose for her if you could?" The girl lit up. Instantly. It wasn't toys. It wasn't something loud. She said carefully, "A warm coat, and gloves, and shoes that don't hurt her feet." Then, after a pause, her voice softened, "And something she doesn't need, but just likes." That last part mattered. Something unnecessary. Something human. The drinks arrived. The muffin came warm. Slice of butter melting slowly. Anna wrapped her fingers around the mug. Heat slipped into her bones. She didn't devour the food. She didn't rush. She simply allowed herself to exist. Daniel watched the way her shoulders relaxed, almost as if she'd forgotten what comfort felt like. You know, he said, my mother never bought anything for herself either. Anna looked up, surprised. She raised me alone. Work nights. Wore the same coat for 10 winters. When I started making money, I tried to buy her expensive things. He smiled faintly. She returned them every time. She said the same thing you do. "Ie me fine." Take care of yourself. He paused. I didn't understand then. I thought she didn't want anything, but she wanted everything for me. Anna's eyes softened. What happened to her? He swallowed. She worked until she couldn't anymore. When she finally had time, her body didn't. Silence moved gently through the table. I would give every deal I ever made, he said quietly, for one more day where she spent something on herself. He didn't say it to impress. He said it because regret has its own weight. Anna looked away, blinking back something deep. Lena leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. "Mom," she whispered, "if you disappear from the list, there is no list." It was such a small sentence, but it cracked the wall. Anna brushed a tear away quickly, as if apologizing for it. "I don't want you to see me struggling." Daniel shook his head. "She doesn't need you to be invincible. She needs you to be here." Those words stayed. They would come back later. Harder. Tua. Time passed. People came. People left. But something in that little corner didn't move. Daniel finally stood. "I need to go," he said softly. Lena's face fell. Anna nodded politely. "Of course. Thank you for sitting with us." He reached into his pocket. Not for cash. For a card. Plain. White. Minimal. A name. A phone number. Nothing else. He placed it gently on the table. "If anything ever breaks," he said quietly, "and you don't know what to do, call this number." Anna tensed. "I don't want." "It's not charity," he said calmly. "It's balance." He looked at Lena. "Someone should carry the one who always carries." Then he smiled softly, almost apologetically, and left. Not grandly, not dramatically. He simply disappeared into the winter crowd, leaving behind a warm cup, a white card, and a question that no longer felt small. That night, walking home, snow sticking to their coats, Lena held the card carefully, like something fragile. "Mom, yes. If one day you want something, just for you." She squeezed her hand. "Tell me. I'll remind you you're allowed." Anna laughed through tears. "Okay." But privately, inside, something else began to grow. Not greed, not desire, permission, and the feeling scared her, just a little, because once someone remembers themselves, life cannot stay the same. And that was where things would change. Not loudly, quietly, the way real change always begins. Winter deepened. Days grew shorter. Nights stretched longer. Life didn't suddenly become easier. No magical gifts. No lucky miracles. Just work, bills, quiet exhaustion, and small, ordinary evenings. But something changed. Not the world. Anna. She stopped disappearing. Sometimes, when they came home, Lena opened the closet and saw the same old sweater, the same worn coat, but next to them, a small tube of hand cream. Not expensive, not fancy, just hers. Anna bought it for herself, and every time, she unscrewed the cap and gently rubbed it into cracked skin. Her face softened in a way Lena had never seen before. Not happiness, calm, like she had reminded herself. She still existed. Winter kept pressing against the city. Work only increased. Holidays, where others rested. Anna wiped tables, carried trash bags, mopped floors, and still, she didn't complain. Not tragedy, not self-pity, just life. Until one night, something went wrong. A wet floor, a rushed step, exhaustion that had been waiting too long. A sharp slip, then pain. Not loud, not dramatic. Heavy, quiet. Her wrists swelled. Her fingers trembled. Holding anything was difficult. The manager's lips tightened. If you can't work, we'll find someone who can. No cruelty, no comfort, just reality. Anna nodded, clutching her wrist, and for the first time in a long while, she felt afraid. Not of pain, of emptiness. That evening, they sat in the small apartment. Snow pressed softly against the window. A weak lamp lit the room. Lena noticed the wrist, pale, swollen, and a silence that felt too heavy. "Mom, did you call anyone?" she whispered. Anna closed her eyes. There's no one to call. A second passed, then another. Lena placed a white card on the table. The same one. Plain, unimpressive, quiet. He said, when something breaks. Anna didn't reach for it. Pride isn't loud. It isn't glamorous. It often sounds like, what if I ask too much? What if they think I'm taking advantage? But pain doesn't care about pride. It simply grows. And late at night, while the apartment sank into darkness, she finally picked up the phone. Her voice was cautious. "I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't bother you." The answer came calmly. "You're not bothering me. No interrogación. No suspicion. No guilt. Just, where are you?" 40 minutes later, footsteps sounded in the hallway. Not rushed, not heroic, normal. He arrived simply because. He said he would. Daniel examined her wrist. No speeches about toughing it out. No drama. Just, we're going. At the clinic, she felt awkward. Millionaire. Hospital. Her wrist. Like she didn't belong there. But the doctors spoke kindly. Without pity. Without superiority. Hairline fracture. Bandage. Rest. At least 2 weeks off, the doctor said. 2 weeks. For some, that sounds like recovery. For her, risk. The ride home was quiet. Lena slept in the back seat, head resting against the window. Anna stared at the glowing Christmas lights, scattered across the city, like a holiday she was never invited to. "I don't know how to pay rent," she finally said. "No breakdown, no tears, just truth." Daniel nodded. "Then first we make sure you're okay. Then we make sure work doesn't erase you." She frowned gently. "You want to fix everything?" He shook his head. "No, I'm not a savior. I'm just tired of watching the world stand on women nobody notices." The next days weren't miraculous, but they were different. The cleaning company offered her another position. No night shifts, no heavy lifting, fair pay. Why? Because someone called, not to threaten, not to demand, but to ask, "How can you make this safer?" Her name stopped being a line on a schedule. It became a person. Christmas came quietly. No expensive gifts. No fairy-tale transformation. Just a simple dinner, a candle, a cheap bar of chocolate, and a small box. Lena gently pushed it across the table. "Open it." Anna unwrapped it carefully. Inside, a tiny bottle of perfume. Not luxury, not brand name. Warm, soft. She laughed softly. "Why?" Lena shrugged, suddenly older than her age. "So you have something you don't have to justify." Anna inhaled the scent. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel guilty. She felt human. Later that night, three things lay on the windowsill: a bandage, a small bottle of perfume, and a white card. The card no longer felt magical. It was a reminder, not about money, about this. People who always sacrifice themselves are allowed to receive help without becoming indebted. Across the city, in a quiet office, Daniel opened a drawer. Inside lay a child's drawing, a folded note, and another white card, his own. He looked out over the winter lights. The world was huge, but sometimes it doesn't change because someone buys something bigger. Sometimes it shifts when someone finally decides they're not last. He smiled slightly, not as a hero, as a man who remembered that the world is carried not by wealth, but by the people who always put themselves after everyone else. And somewhere, in a small, warm kitchen, a little girl closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you for helping my mom not disappear anymore." It wasn't a miracle. It was better than that. Quiet, steady, real.